Ndinoda kuti nyika isiwe vanhu vangu inguva yedu hatingachatsi kubudirira Mwari ari parutivi pedu rambai muchirwa
My hitters don't die, the real hitters gon' shine and my people gon' rise. That's my point to it, yeah. I ain't saying
How the hell do I not have a deal? I swear this thing is a real dog. I play it fan off, the cowards that they can't feel. The wife try to console me like it's coming, baby, chill. She don't understand. I'm the only one that's real. I remember the third grade. Them kids, they had waves. I had them BDBs. You know that Zimbabwean grade. So they do shades till your boy hit the stage. Press play and all the chicks was like, yeah. While boys was moving bricks, I was moving chips. If she gave me calculus, gave her a mouthful of it. Heat rose to this thing, boy, I bet on myself.
Grand Rising, everybody. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. We got a great show for y'all today. So excited because it's been, I guess it's been a really long time. I didn't realize how long until today, but our resident life coach is back in the building, Curtis R. Calhoun. Of course, we're going to be going over a recap of all of the 10 real lifer tips we've received thus far. And he's taking us into real lifer tip number 11 today. So I get to do a real deep dive with him. Excited that he's in the building. It's been too long. But of course, right now is the top of the show, y'all. It's a great time for you to tag and share the stream. Yes, you can participate by tagging and sharing the stream with folks you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on The Day with Trae. If you can't watch us, you can always listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and The Day with Trae. Y'all will find me on Google, Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Music, SoundCloud, whichever one is your favorite. Just search for us. You'll find us there. Shout out to everybody who is tagging and sharing the stream and the podcast. We appreciate you so much. I want to say that there's something that's really hitting the airwaves right now, and Seattle is stepping up to the plate, and they've done a partnership with Seattle Housing Authority to provide free Orca cards. Check this out.
Moxie Hubbard Shirley is ecstatic. She is one of the 10,000 Seattle Housing Authority residents who are getting an Orca card that will provide them unlimited free access to public transportation in the region.
Oh my goodness. There's so many opportunities in the state, in the city. I get to visit and go to all these different places and be exposed to everything that I could not be all the way exposed to.
The free Orca card program is a national, first-of-its-kind benefit at this scale, according to the city. It is the result of a partnership between the City of Seattle and the Seattle Housing Authority that will last through the end of 2026. Everyone who is 19 or older and listed on a Seattle Housing Authority lease will be eligible for the card. Those who are 18 or younger already have free access to transportation. The program was piloted successfully in 2019 with about 2,000 Housing Authority residents. It is funded with a voter-approved Seattle Transit Measure sales tax. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell said during a press conference that the program will help expand opportunity by giving access to free transportation to people in Housing Authority homes. And it will save them money as well.
Our vision for a vibrant Seattle is dependent on a sustainable transportation system where our neighbors, our friends, our family members can get where they need to go swiftly, reliably, and most important, affordably.
Homeless advocate and Yesler resident Queen Bee King Rios said she is thankful for the new benefit.
I always use transportation, but I always had to pay. And some days I get to the bus, oh man, I don't have $1. Some days, could be good, some days could be bad. And some days, I ain't gonna lie, I give my $1 to somebody who asks for $1.
Seattle Housing Authority Director Rod Brandon said families in Housing Authority communities sometimes have to make hard decisions on how to spend their limited budgets. Access to free public transportation will improve their situation.
To benefit our residents, to give them more choices, more mobility option, more flexibility in their day, it's just huge. You heard the mayor talk about 10,000 residents will now have an opportunity to be more mobile and more flexible in their day as they make decisions in their life.
King Rios said the card will open opportunities for her.
The difference this is gonna make to me, first of all, I'm gonna be able to get out of my house 7 days a week with no worry about how I'm gonna get there or how I'm gonna get back. And it's very important to me because I can go now even further to look for a job for a person with disabilities. I'll be able to go to school. I'll be able to do a lot of things. I got a lot of stuff on my plate now, especially when I can get there for free.
Mayor Harrell said the ultimate goal is to provide public transportation to everyone to create a more sustainable city.
That should be our goal. That should be an investment strategy that we should see for a variety of reasons, not just mobility, but for environmental reasons at all. So we sort of did it through a lens of, because there's always limited resource, a lens of prioritization and who we look at first. When you make it available, people use it. So that should be our goal, that is our goal, and hopefully this is a step to get us toward that end.
You know, this program right here is definitely a huge feat for the city of Seattle. It's a great step in the right direction when we talk about, you know, closing disparity gaps, and particularly when it comes to accessibility. You know, a lot of residents within the city don't have access to free transportation. And now with this partnership with Seattle Housing Authority, they're doing something to really remedy that. And it's great to hear. I particularly enjoy hearing from the residents about how they're going to be able to utilize these free Orca cards to get everywhere. And honestly, we do have a pretty solid system, particularly if those Orca cards are not limited to only Metro Transit. So it's great to know that regionally they'll be able to get anywhere they need to. And shout out to Mayor Harrell's administration and to the Seattle Housing Authority for making this happen. Of course, I would love to see these kinds of partnerships in other sectors, particularly when it comes to financial access, opening up the pocketbook of these amazing agencies and the city to provide other things. And also, I think that it's important for other cities throughout the state of Washington to really pay attention to the intentionality here with this partnership. How can we get this to happen in other places throughout the state? You know, Federal Way, South King County, where we have a lot of displaced residents now living there. How can we, you know, take advantage of what Seattle is doing? So definitely excited to see this take shape. And honestly, it's one of those things that I think is so necessary. It was so needed for the time. So shout out to Mayor Harrell, shout out to Seattle Housing Authority. And I just got to say something to all of you residents now, 10,000 residents, get out and explore the region. Utilize those Orca cards to your benefit. As one of the residents said there, now you can think about school, going to school for free. And often there are different scholarships and grants that you can get because you are at the Seattle Housing Authority. And maybe you're dealing with a portion of your area median income, you're below, AMI. So look out for all of the opportunities that you have to participate in other activities to enrich your lives. Shout outs to your free Orca cards. Use them wisely. Excited to see what all of you do with them out there. So also, I got to give a huge shout out to Cesar Canazales, one of our correspondents here at Converge, for being on the scene and capturing that amazing story. Well, for me, after this short break, you all, I get to chime in with my guy, Curtis R. Calhoun, our resident life coach. He'll be providing us another real lifer tip that we can all take in and use to our benefit. Stay tuned right after this short break. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Prosperity in Black America. What will this require? Is Black business prospering? Are we reaching women and minority-owned businesses? How do we achieve earning parity for wealth for our families? Do our children really have access to education? Will our families have choices for our children? Prison pipelines, mass incarceration, tearing our families apart. A healthcare system not accessible to the masses. The disproportionate termination of Black women from corporate America. When will we actually begin to address what's really at play? How do Black people gain more power to help make these changes? This requires a lot of political will and courage. I'm that provocateur of change. I am Cindy Bright. Welcome to Heartbeat.
Will you marry me, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put this on you.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Trae Holiday. We're bringing back Black Love When We Met. That's right. We need something to warm all of our hearts and to elevate love once again in our communities. We want y'all to go to whereweconverge.com/Black Love so y'all can nominate your favorite couple for the next rendition of this show with me as the host. Let me sit down and have them on my couch and share how their love can inspire us all. Make sure y'all go and get your nominations in today and be on the lookout for Black Love When We Met coming at you on Converge Media very soon. Welcome back, everybody, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is Curtis R. Calhoun, our resident life coach with real lifer tips we can use. Hi, what up, C? How are you, brother?
Peace, Trae. I'm good. How you doing?
Hey, it's so great to be with you again. It's been a long time. I mean, you're talking about like 3 months, maybe October. I'm like, what? But it's so great to be back with you. And I know we said, look, we really want to bring these tips out to the public. And so we're going to kind of go back over a recap because we've gone through 10 different real lifer tips. All of them have been super beneficial to me, and I've been hearing from audience members how beneficial they are to them. Let's actually do a recap here, starting with number one.
Yeah, well, let's go back. Number one is real lifers give 110% at everything they do. 2 is real lifers are 110% responsible for everything that happens in their lives, especially what they think, feel, say, and do. Real lifers make their word bond and keep it impeccable. Number 4 is real lifers pursue personal growth and development daily. 5, real lifers set an intention for the day every day. 6, real lifers are growth mindset oriented. 7, real lifers are realistically positive and optimistic, but are able to see all aspects of a situation. 8, real lifers acknowledge who they are right now with ambitions to improve. 9, real lifers are conscious of their physical and mental diet. And 10, real lifers get a proper amount of rest and do some sort of physical activity daily.
Yes. And it takes me back to that last one. You know, I thought of you because I remember the last time you were here and I said, man, I bought this machine and it's a really dope machine, but I haven't not used it yet. I've just been looking at it. And then you said, that's where it starts. You know, you look at it, next thing you know, you're on it. You know, maybe you think about getting it, maybe you get dressed to get on it. So I did, you know, and I thought of you because I was like, I'm going to use this stair stepper. And I was like, I'm thinking to see right now because I am doing the physical activity part. But, you know, all of those tips really have been so beneficial to me. And I know we talked about how you actually embody them in your life and then how you're really sharing that with your client base. Let's get into real lifer tip number 11. What do we got today?
So tip number 11 is one of my favorites is real lifers genuinely find ways to connect with people every day. Wow. So you've been around me, you know, I'm always trying to connect with people and connect people. So if somebody tells me something, oh, I know somebody you need to meet, or I know somebody, but it's being intentional about going out and making connections, getting out of our comfort zone, really wanting to create new relationships, cultivate and nurture new relationships, because like they say, your net worth is your net worth, right? Yeah. So it's really how we build value of ourselves in the community. Like we've been talking about.
Your network is your net worth. I just used that quote this week. So it's really resonating with me. I think oftentimes, you know, when we're in the thick of things, sometimes we don't always understand the value of them.
Yeah.
And so this is a really great tip that's hitting home for me this week. You know, I realized recently that, you know, all of the things that I know, sometimes people just come and talk to me because they're like, can I just talk to you about some things I have in my head?
Yeah.
And then I realize, wow, like the things that I know are benefiting other people because they are doing that. They're intentional about building a connection with me and then coming and I don't realize like, oh yeah, because I'm around, right? I'm okay. And I do this show. I get connected to a lot of amazing people who are doing great work. So it's been really mind-blowing for myself in the last couple of weeks how much that has resonated with me, because I, just like you, I'm out here building those kind of connections and I'm like, oh yeah, well, so-and-so is doing this work. There's a lot of similarities with what folks are trying to do out there. And sometimes they need those connectors like you and I see to make the connections. What are some of the points embed in this tip for us?
Well, 11.1 is learn to relate to as many people as possible. And this is something that I got from my grandfather when I was really young. I think even before my during my preteen years. But he said, read a lot, because when you read a lot, it gives you a lot of information. And what that helps you to do is be able to relate to a lot of different people that you're going to come across in life. All right. So when they start talking about something and they have an interest in something, you know something about it because you've read about it or learned something. So now you can communicate and develop that connection and bond with that person based on that same thing you guys have in common or know about.
Yeah, well, it allows for the conversation to go deeper.
Yes.
Right. And that's a great thing about it, because through conversation, you actually do learn a lot about where someone is coming from. You learn a lot about how you may be able to assist in that. And for me, I mean, that's really what this tip is all about. When you're talking about being genuine about the connections you make and working to make as many connections as you possibly can, a lot of that means that you have to have some type of foundation for that connection to exist, right? Otherwise it becomes kind of empty or a bit performative, right? Like, oh, I'm just doing it just because I know I should, right? But it's like the intentionality behind it will also really, I think, evolve the authenticity of that connection, right? It allows that to flourish. What about 11.2?
Well, before we go to 2, though, like to kind of follow up on what you just said, in sales, we have that thing where it says people have to know you, like you, and trust you for them to buy from you, right? So it's the same thing for people to enter into a relationship with you. Those 3 things are very critical. And like you said, authenticity helps with that, and that kind of fosters that.
Yeah.
But 11.2 is you must be able to assess and accept people for who they are without judging. And this is one of the things that's tough, because we love immediately to judge people. And say, you know, because what that does when we judge people, it makes us feel better about ourselves, because at least I'm not as bad as them. Right?
Oh, well, this right here is so key. It's a major part of my life ideology, honestly. It is a work. It is a work, and I'm grateful for that work. But I also, I think for me, what I've come to learn is everyone has their path. Everyone is here to learn something very specific in their lifetime. And it really, it anchored me with that, because honestly, no matter how different someone's opinion may be, my sister and I, for instance, right, we're 12 years apart. And when we were growing up, you know, I was so excited to have a little sister because I had 2 brothers before her. And I'm like, finally, you know, I get to be big sister to my little sister. And we didn't hit it off at the gate, right? We would laugh about it now, but you know, back then it was not. I was like, oh, what is going on? Is this what it's like to have a little sister? Like, take her back, you know, right? And so I dealt with that because I was so tight with my little brothers. So I just naturally was like, oh, she's going to look up to me. You know, I'm going to adore her. She's going to adore me. And it wasn't actually that in the very beginning. I'm so grateful that we worked on our relationship to get to that point. But I always thought, oh man, you know, you're just so different from me. Your viewpoint is different. Your generation is different. It felt like I felt like my mother at times, because it was like, you know how, you know, they'd be like, oh, well, y'all listening to that, or y'all doing this way, and we didn't do it that way. And that's how I felt my little sister. I'm like, y'all doing things different. We didn't do it like that. Right. So, but now I've really, as we've grown, learn to appreciate the differences. And for me, in terms of life ideology, I've been able to know, you know what, it's okay, because everybody is here for a very specific purpose. And because of that, now I can remove whatever that difference is, right?
Yes.
And actually
Yes.
embrace that difference,
Yes.
because we, you
Yes.
know, my mom always says it takes all kinds.
Mhm.
So that was my way of dealing with it. But yet I was still judging people. I'm like, it takes all kinds, I guess, right? But now I go, no, literally it does. It takes all kinds. It's very different. So you have to, you're right when it comes to like, I didn't know that all of us kind of instinctively start the judging process.
Oh yeah, we have to be very intentional not to. It's a part of our ego and our self-concept, how we see ourselves, right? And we always want to make sure we're adding, well, we always make sure we're adding value to ourselves and putting ourselves in an esteemed place. So it's easy to put other people down to do that. So we have to be mindful not to. But like you said, what that does, it's an opportunity, because it's an opportunity to learn a different viewpoint, a different perspective, a different way of thinking, instead of judging the person, because you might be missing something that was meant for you. Every interaction has a reason why it happened, and you might miss something with that type of thinking.
Yeah, no, that's a smart one right there, that you might miss something. Nobody wants to miss nothing.
No.
Oh, what do we got for point 3?
Point 3 is nurture old relationships and create opportunities for new ones. So it's just like we were talking about during the break. We want to be able to nurture relationships and cultivate them so they grow stronger and deeper, and that we expand our network and we expand the space where we're able to have impact in and add value to. So by nurturing, taking the time out, remembering somebody's birthday, just giving a call and saying, hey, just checking in on you, see how you're doing, stopping by to see somebody, just small little things, but they mean a lot.
You know, this right here is real. Just today, I was called out on my team for just sending a note to someone as they're dealing with, you know, their mother and being a caretaker, and how important that was for them, right? To just say, hey, understand you're going through this, and just sending you, you know, healing energy. One of the things that I think I've always done is when somebody crosses my mind, I reach out to them, you know, right? And it's one of those things where I don't know why they just came across my mind, but then I realize when I actualize that, you know, that thought, I do something about it. There's so many benefits in that exchange with that person. And so that's part of that, right? It's like part of it is that we get to get outside of ourselves when we connect with other people. And I particularly enjoy the fact of nurturing older relationships, because sometimes we just think those folks are always going to be there because they have been. And it takes intentionality to build those kinds of relationships up, and not just take them for granted, right?
Yes. And there's times when, like you said, you don't really want to do it. You're busy, you got things going on, but it's when you make that time, sometimes you'd be surprised. You get a call and you both benefit from it. They're happy to hear from you, but during the conversation or during the interaction, you get something out of it that you weren't expecting. All right. So it's real to be intentional and then be able to get that added benefit. It's something special.
These tips are all so special. See, you've really put together such a dynamic approach to understanding and identifying yourself, as well as how you're going to be in the world. I mean, you know, when we talk about sets of principles, I was just talking to you about the covenant a bit ago, right? And you know, we think, okay, we need these things in our community. We need, you know, ways to live that really allow us to take full advantage of what we're here to do, you know, and the connection that we're here to make as beings all together on this planet. And so much of that, sometimes people think it's automatic. And honestly, it isn't, right? And I know that you've experienced that people actually do need this, even though it may seem like common sense. All sense ain't common.
Yeah. Well, again, that's why I created it or put it together as something that people can use to build muscle memory. And it's almost like character development memory, right? So that it's not something you think about after a while. Even this is why I have the list, because it's so ingrained in my life. I couldn't just run them off to you because I do them every day. So it's not something I think about, oh, I need to give 110% today. No, it's just naturally a part of who I've become now, so that it comes off as authentic. It is authentic because this is who I am. It's not just something I'm trying to remember and take advantage of. Like we were talking about being transactional, not transformational. I want to build transformational relationships, not transactional ones. And I want to be able to authentically connect with people all the time and be able to help them to see first the value in them, to help them to see the value in themselves, and then bring that value out in a way that they are benefiting from it.
Yeah, well, it's important. And I want to touch on a topic here that I think is also really important in terms of how we showcase ourselves as parents. You have children, and I wanted to ask, like, how important it is that you live these principles, right?
Yeah.
For them to be able to experience them and see them on a daily basis in their father. Just tell us a little bit about that, because I'm sure that these not only benefit you in your business world, but I'm talking about family is really the primary, recipients of this character building.
Well, it's definitely, life in general. And you see that smile when you mention parenting and children, because I have 3 older children from my first marriage. And then I have a son from my wife's previous marriage. And then we have a son together who is younger. So it's funny because my 3 older children didn't get to see this version of Curtis so much. They saw a different version of Curtis, and they see the change now. And it's funny because my oldest daughter sometimes, I don't even know who you are now. I can't even recognize you anymore. But like we talk about all the time, Hassan and I, is that our youngest son, he has a different life. The environment that he grew growing up in is going to cause him to have a ton of different opportunities that our older kids didn't have a chance, because we hadn't developed those relationships. We hadn't cultivated those certain things, and then just creating that safe space for him to be and be himself. I was too busy trying to create clones of me with my first set of kids, instead of letting them be who they are and helping them to utilize and capitalize on their gifts, like we talked about.
Yeah, see, this is really important. I think about this too, that my older son saw something different. And I'm so grateful that we have a really great relationship for him to be able to understand the changes that he's seeing in his mother. That's something that I can really appreciate. My younger son and I, off the gate, I don't know what it was, but I'm so grateful that now we have such a great relationship, and he's growing in it. So for him, it's second nature, right? But my older son really does understand the difference. And I think that there's something really special about that as well, because it also showcases to our children, we are ever evolving, right? Parents don't always have it right. There were things that I was doing back then that I won't do now. And, the ways that I was being that I won't be now. And, even when it comes to my eating, my kids, they crack up because they're like, all this vegan stuff. And I'm like, hey, but then they're like, oh, this is pretty good. I'm like, see, this is pretty good. So it's really great to see the growth through their eyes and from their perspective. So I just wanted to tap on that, because as I've been listening to all these tips and taking them in myself, I realize that so much of this is greatly benefits our family structures, right? When we actually have something firm to stand on, like you said.
Yeah. Well, I love how you connected the part where you said that they get a chance to see us grow. So they had a chance to see us where we made mistakes. They had a chance to see us where we recognized those mistakes, understood that that's not the way to be, and found a new way to be that's better and benefits everybody, not just ourselves. And that's hugely important, because nobody wants to make mistakes. Nobody wants to be wrong. But you can never learn and evolve unless you accept the fact that you're going to make mistakes and you're going to do things wrong. It's okay. Just don't continue to do it, especially once you recognize it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think you got to be able to make that shift. And so much of it for a lot of us is that we're really connected to our conditionings, right? Whatever we've conditioned ourselves to think, believe, act, be, feel, all of those things, we've been, intentional to a certain degree about, being so connected to that. Like, that's who I am. If I let that go, it's not me anymore. I mean, when you talk about your daughter saying, I don't even know you anymore, but just imagine if you just would have held on to who you were before, right? All of these benefits wouldn't even be experienced by those around you. See, as always, I mean, this is always such a great discussion, and we have missed you here on The Day with Trae. It's so great to be with you again. Thank you for bringing these real lifer tips to the audience here. Of course, as folks wanting to connect with you and, maybe become clients, really get these tips for themselves and maybe need that accountability partner, look right there. Let them know how to find you.
Yep. You can find me at CurtisCalhoun.com or Curtis R. Calhoun on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, IG, all of those. You can find me there. And if you want copies of the real lifer tips that goes along with the graph so you can track daily how you're doing with these, just reach out, email Curtis Calhoun at CurtisCalhoun.com.
Right on. Curtis, my brother, we appreciate you so much.
Thank you, sister. I appreciate you having me back. I have to earn back that resident life coach title. It's been so long, but next one around, we can use it again and it'd be legit.
You'll always be our resident life coach.
Right on.
Thank you so much. Oh, of course, I get to wrap all of this up right after this short break, y'all. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Will you marry me, baby?
Yeah.
Let me put this on you.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Trae Holiday. We're bringing back Black Love When We Met. That's right. We need something to warm all of our hearts and to elevate love once again in our communities. We want y'all to go to whereweconverge.com/Black Love so y'all can nominate your favorite couple for the next rendition of this show with me as the host. Let me sit down and have them on my couch and share how their love can inspire us all. Make sure y'all go and get your nominations in today and be on the lookout for Black Love When We Met coming at you on Converge Media very soon.
Pacific Northwest Ballet unveils Giselle, ballet's classic tale of romance, betrayal, and immortal love. The New York Times calls it a triumph, comparable to an epic film. This stunning production is touched by magic. Order tickets now at pnb.org.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. What a great episode with Curtis R. Calhoun, our forever resident life coach on The Day with Trae. We appreciate him bringing us real lifer tip number 11. And honestly, for all of you out there, you can utilize these tips and connect with Curtis to get all of the tips, get the graphs you need to, the journals you need to figure out how you're embedding these tips into your daily lives. It's so important for us to have a set of something that really holds us down, holds us accountable to character development and growth. And honestly, we are so much better for it when we bring all of that growth out to the community and see ourselves as a part of the solution. I'm always inspired by Curtis and what he's doing in the community and bringing all of these amazing tips to his clients, but to all of us. He facilitates a lot of different discussions. He is an amazing person that is known for, being true to these principles, really living them. So I encourage you all to be inspired and see yourself as a part of the solution. For me, until tomorrow at 11 a.m., y'all. Peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.